And I know you wanted well, last week before your mother had passed, you wanted to talk about prayer, but I think maybe we should talk about death. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I don't know, but how do you feel?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good topic. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So tell me about your experience of sitting with your mother while she passed away.
Yeah, well, I sat with her for just over 4 hours, I guess, before she went.
Did you know that, did the doctor say that she was going or anything like that?
No, they, I mean, she had been declared palliative last Friday.
Yeah.
But naturally they can't sort of put time frames on it or anything, but basically they were saying, look, the end's not too far away.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I decided to go. My younger brother went and saw her on Saturday, and spent some time with her, and you know, she wasn't in a good way.
Yeah.
In the sense that, you know, she you know, was in bed and, you know, wasn't really conscious as such.
Mm.
But anyway, so I woke up on Sunday morning and there hadn't been any message or anything to say that she'd gone in the meantime. So I went down to see her as I normally did on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And, you know, and she was in bed and extremely laboured breathing, but she wasn't conscious. But I'm certain that she could hear me and was aware of me being there.
Right.
Because, you know, when I well, and my oldest son popped in to see her as well, to say his goodbyes to her. And, you know, like when he spoke to her and, you know, when I spoke to her, her breathing changed.
Right.
You know, so there was, in my mind, a quite clear acknowledgement, you know, that she was aware of presence. And, you know, I guess that awareness for me was an invitation just to talk to her, even though it was, you know, seemingly a one-way conversation, but I chose to just share my inner thoughts with her. And over that next couple of hours, her breathing, you know, worsened.
Yeah.
You know, it was very, very laboured, and it was accentuated with, you know, long pauses between breaths after a while. And it was around about, so I went and saw her at 10 o'clock, so it was around about 2 o'clock, you know, that her breathing was really, yeah, quite bad.
Right.
And you know, I said to her, look, you know, like, it's okay to go. Like, you don't have to fight, you don't have to struggle. You know, I'll be okay. You know, but it's okay to go. You know, just, and you know, she struggled on a bit longer, and up on the wall in her room, she had a picture of her and Dad. I think it was one of their anniversaries or something.
Yeah.
And I turned to that picture and I said to Dad, like, this is not okay now. You need to come and take her home. And within about 2 or 3 minutes, she was gone.
Fantastic. Well done.
And it was such a an unusual feeling, because with all of her laboured breathing and everything, you know, there's words sort of clumsy, like I wanted her to go because I was quite distressed with, you know, what I saw that she was doing. But when she did go, it was like, oh shit, she's gone.
Yeah.
And it was almost like, well, you told me to go. You know, it was like the feeling was like there was just an all of a sudden dawning that, oh no, she's gone, you know. And then the nursing staff came in and did, you know, checked the pulse and all that sort of stuff. And,
How old was she?
92.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just sat with her for a while, and I gave my brothers a call, and my younger brother said he wanted to come down and see us, so he came over and sat with her and me for a little while, and made a few phone calls, you know, to like her, you know, the family of her sister and a couple of other people, and yeah. So, you know, by the time all of that had gone through, and it probably would have been, I don't know, 3:30, something like that.
Right.
And so I felt it was time for me to leave. And the nursing staff had been talking to me, and they said, you know, like, you know, do you know who the funeral director is? I said, yeah, I did. You know, I arranged and all that sort of stuff. So I said, well, if you wouldn't mind just calling the funeral director to arrange to come and have it collected, and that was that.
Right.
But I have to say that I felt incredibly privileged to have spent those final hours with her. It was my wish, and I was certainly blessed with that wish, and it's something that will remain with me, you know, for the rest of my days, for sure.
I have no doubt. Sure.
Mm. Mm. And then this afternoon, we had the funeral.
Okay, I was going to ask you when the funeral was. Yeah,
Yeah, so we did that this afternoon, and it was a lovely service, and I had a few words to say. Do you want me to share those words with you?
Yes, please do.
So it was sort of fairly short and to the point, but and my younger brother also, he I suppose delivered the eulogy as such, but I just had some thoughts, you know, that I wanted to share. So basically, you know, my words were, you know, what can a grieving son say? It's hard to sum up the life of such an extraordinary woman in just a few words, but I can say without a doubt that she was a true embodiment of love. She was the one who taught me the joy of selflessness, the beauty of compassion, and the power of forgiveness. She was a devoted wife, a loving mother who put her family first every step of the way, and incredibly generous. Mum was one of the strongest people I've ever known. It's always been that way, right from my earliest memories of her through to her last breath. Her strength was grounded in love and grace. Her gentle smile, warm laughter, and tender hugs had the ability to brighten up even the darkest of days. She was a beacon of hope who taught me how to keep going even when things got tough, and never to lose sight of goodness and beauty of life. One of our rituals since Dad's passing was to have lunch together each weekend. Over those shared meals, she would take me on journeys through her childhood in a very different Australia in times of war. Stories about family members long past, stories of a young girl finding her way through turbulent times, and about her cares and concerns in day-to-day life generally. I found it difficult, and I still do, to fully comprehend the incredible challenges she had to overcome. Losing her deeply loved dad at such a young age, growing up in a country town in times of war and economic hardship, her ever-present concern for the well-being of her little sister, her memories of her dad's values guided her through all this uncertainty and hardship. She used to say that the best steel needs to endure the hottest flames. But it was the last 4 hours together which I'll treasure most. To her last breath, her love was strong. I know she worried about me and didn't want to go. Right to the last breath, her concern was for others. I'll miss her terribly, but I take comfort in knowing that she is now at peace and reunited with those she loved who passed before her. For me, she is an incredible witness to living a life through a deeply personal, day-to-day experiential love for God. I'm sure there is a lot of excitement in heaven with her arrival. What an incredible source of strength and blessing she has been to so many, and particularly to me. I love you, Mum.
That's beautiful. Well done. Well done. And she was listening to that. She's still probably listening to it.
Mm. Mm.
And yeah, my heart goes out to you. I've been thinking about you ever since I got your message on Telegram. And I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about death. I've been thinking about at what stage your mother is in the transition phase. And yeah, I even went and pulled out a little book of mine that I have, a Logos book that's called Death. Okay. And it's just very simple things about death and the facts of death. And I read it from cover to cover. It's not a very short book. It's an A6 and it's only 20 pages or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it certainly brought up a lot of, well, obviously a lot of emotions and that, but I think the incredible face-to-face meeting with mortality has also, you know, made me reflect from a personal perspective about, okay, well, you know, am I, you know, where am I at with this journey of mine? And that might sound a little bit self-centered, you know, after your mother has just died, but it certainly
Not at all.
Certainly raised that. Certainly raised that, and you know, raised the importance of. Well, I mean, in a practical sense, you know, like since her passing, it's made me think a lot more deeply about prayer and about my own personal relationship with God. You know,
yeah, that's fantastic.
You know, it's in one sense a little embarrassing that it's taken her passing for even that to come to front of mind. You know,
I don't think you're fair on yourself. You know, I think you've been very spiritual all your life, and certainly in the past years that we've been talking. So I don't think that's the case at all. I think that I don't think many people have as much spirituality as you do in your day-to-day thoughts and your awareness of reality.
But you know, I'm incredibly thankful and grateful for having had the experience that I've had over the last few days, and you know, it's had its high highs and its low lows, and
Yeah.
but it's yeah, wouldn't have missed it for the world, you know. So.
And if I recall, you had arranged to go on holiday as of Monday, was it?
Yeah, Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So you know,
Yeah. Her timing was
that's
impeccable.
not the universe, and God. You know, just that's how close you are to God. Okay, without a doubt. Okay, I mean that is so interesting. So yeah. Yeah, my mom died at 92 as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was, yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked to have been, yeah, for it to be any other way. Really, it was just perfect the way it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts is, you know, most people transition over a period of time, okay, and that time that varies from person to person. But you know, if there is an average, the average is around about a month, okay, and give or take a couple of weeks. And the reason for that is, you know, you move, you've landed up, you've transitioned into the spiritual world, okay, but you still are very, very aware of the physical world you came from, and your family, and your people, and everybody that you were attached to. Everything that you were attached to, you are aware of it during that transition. And yeah, I was just thinking, you know, I wonder where she is, because she had Alzheimer's, and that you know, I find that interesting, and I've been thinking about it, and I think it's such a blessing to have Alzheimer's when you pass, okay, and so I was thinking of your mom in that context the last couple of days, and what does it mean to pass, to transition when you have Alzheimer's? Because you don't suddenly, you know, don't have Alzheimer's anymore. Okay, you know, it's a phase of adaptation, and you know, you've come in from. Let's use an analogy. Okay, you're coming from prison. Okay, you're coming from prison where you were never allowed out. Okay, and now you are allowed out, and you see the outside world, and you're looking around and think, what do I do now? Like, I'm free, but what does that mean? You know, I only know the prison life, and so it takes time, and also there isn't such a thing. She's now in a timeless zone. Okay, there is no time, and so you know how long she takes is only in our minds. And yes, there's your father to meet her. Without a doubt, he responded to your call, and no doubt, you know, like everybody, she is in the process of going home to where she originated from before she came to prison. Okay, that's home. Okay, and there'll be friends and family members, and but how long that takes in our terms, who knows? Okay, to do that, because my knowledge takes me to the what I think the Christians call the angel of death, or Logos has a different name for it, very similar to the Hindus. But the point is that what happens there is when you meet up with this Yamaguchwa, or angel of death, it's like crossing a border, maybe emigrating to another country. Okay, you've got those people that want to know who you are. Okay, at the border bus. Okay, and they want to know what baggage you're carrying. Okay? And it's no different with the angel of death. Okay, it wants to know what emotional and mental baggage and karma are you bringing to this new territory. Okay, and it goes through everything, because there's nothing that is not stored in the spiritual realm. It's actually stored in the subconscious and the mental realms, but it's stored there. So every thought, emotion over 92 years is there. Okay, and this angel, which is part of the karmic family of angels, goes through all that, and to us it might be a flash of a second, but because there isn't time. I mean, to them there it might be a flash of a second, just everything coming back and recalling, because they still have now their mental capacities, okay, whatever they had. And so they go through all that. They understand the good and the bad in their behavior, in that process. Not that it's told to them, they just know it, okay, because of, I guess, the environment in which they've been not interrogated, but given the opportunity to have their life relived in that period of time. And family and friends stand back at that stage, and when that's finished, you move on back with your family and friends and back home to, you'll recall. You'll have memories of home. Okay. Because prison was never home. Okay. And so those have been my thoughts around with your mom. And then, in some instances, people might stay in the astral realm. Is the first dimension you go to. It is the spiritual world, okay? But within itself, there are a number of different dimensions of the astral world, okay? And so through just our awareness of who we are, we will move to a particular level. And it might be that home is actually beyond the astral. You know, could be in the causal, okay, could be in the subconscious planes. And within each of those planes, there are great cities, okay? So, you know, the Bible talks about them sometimes, the city with the 12 gates. And Kailash is the name given to one in the subconscious plane. And so, you know, she'll go home with your dad, and whichever city it's in, or maybe it's in the countryside. Okay, it doesn't have to be in the city. Okay, but it will be, you know, where they're all familiar and they all regard as home. And then they might stay there as individuals, I don't know, 1,000 years maybe, but maybe only 10 years, and then depending on their karma, they'll be recalled back to prison again. You know, had your short holiday, now you got to get back and
get back to work. That's right.
take your punishment now and redeem yourself. Okay.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's important what you're saying too, because, you know, like the superficial view is that, you know, once your heart stops beating and, you know, and your consciousness leaves or whatever, or that the death has occurred, but it's a lot more complex than that. You know, it's, as you say, it's a process that unfolds for weeks, doesn't it? You know, in terms of
yeah, you know, we all use the word death, but the real word is transition. Okay. Transition from the three-dimensional prison to the freedom of the first spiritual worlds.
Yep.
And it's not death, it's death to the physical body, and the services are paying tribute to the people left behind. Give them, I think funerals are a great thing. The services are really great. You know, whether there's nobody present other than, you know, immediate family, doesn't matter. It's what you're feeling and your ability to be grateful, to say what you need to say, which you did so eloquently, and that is for your sake, not actually for her. Yes, she's listening, but she doesn't have quite the same emotion that the people who on the physical world have. And she's now more in a space of experiencing love like never been experienced before.
Yeah.
And that's difficult to explain because we don't know what it's like, you know.
Yeah.
We just know from people who have been there, that are wise, and been everywhere. Yeah.
Yep, that's so true. No, it's something we should encourage ourselves to think about more often, I think, you know, because I'm certain that it would, you know, for some people it would help them rethink, you know, their priorities and their approach.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it doesn't, but
Yeah, is it about our fellow prisoners? I think we got to show them compassion and understanding, and when they request it,
Mm.
you then share knowledge with them. Where you either do it verbally or offer them a book, but as individuals, you and I, for example, yeah, we can contemplate, and which is always very powerful, and is a form of prayer. And perhaps next week we'll talk about prayer, and but also reading divine inspiration. Divine book that comes with authority.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there are lots of people like that on our planet, just at different levels. And so by reading something like that, you are automatically vibrating at a new level at that moment of holding that written word. Every written word has a vibration. And if it's a divine word, okay, it has a vibration. Okay? And if you carry on reading, it means that you resonate with that vibration. And you carry on reading, and that is a very spiritual act. About what's outside these walls of the third dimension. And more than that, obviously our behaviors and things, but more than that, that is the best thing we can do. And I think it's probably, we're going to probably find that prayer is a definition that we put on something that is divine, okay? And in our own conscious way. Okay? The same with I believe chanting is a prayer. So, but whether you tangle with your beads on your necklace or whatever, and your thoughts are where they should be. Okay.
I'd even venture to go as far as to say that, there's a way of being, which you could characterize as just a prayerful way of being. This because of how you carry yourself, your actions, your thoughts. It's a prayerful way of being. So basically meaning in dialogue constantly with God. So
absolutely, making breakfast and being grateful to all the people, all the ingredients, or wherever they came from, the farmers who farmed them and so on. That is what you're talking about, I think. That is. So living your life in a prayerful way. Yeah.
And the implications of that have got to be beyond our imagination, I think. And it comes back to the idea of faith, doesn't it? Really, I guess just because you can't see it, part of faith is doing something because it's what you perhaps know it to be, even though you can't prove it or see it or point to it. But it's something that it guides you in what you do.
I like the word you just used now. You know it. And I think that's the bottom line, the underlying platform that holds spirituality is some of us, like you and I, have a knowing. Doesn't matter that we can't see it. Okay, it's a knowing. We know that there is a link, a soul. Okay, that is divine. The soul came down directly from God. Okay, and is now, largely in this prison. Is also in prison. Okay, and gets freed up a lot more, like the person who's just transitioned as well gets. So the soul does too. Has more influence on your progress. And it's more difficult to make progress in the spiritual realm once you're there, because you're not confronted with the problems that you're confronted with in the three-dimensional world, where you have a reaction and can cast off karma. It's not easy to cast off karma in the spiritual world, because you don't have those same opportunities. You do have them, and you can focus your mind on it. Okay, but it's a lot more difficult. As in our terms, in the three-dimensional.
Yeah. No, definitely. And it comes back to that whole attachment issue, isn't it? Like, it's just how attached are you to this three-dimensional prism,
Yeah. Absolutely. And that includes attachment to people and to love and those sort of things too. That's why you and I often talk about love and what is love and so on. And I think the Hebrews have 3 different definition words for different types of love. Okay, you have a love for an animal and a love for a person and love for something else, and then they've got different words for. Or is it Hebrew? Yeah, Hebrew. So all you can do is not love. Be careful that love becomes an attachment, becomes possessive, becomes jealous.
Because that's all about control. It's not about love.
Yes. So, and it all can be very subtle. Okay. So the bottom line is, just think about God. Think about God, and imagine what God is. Imagine everything's in God, and imagine sitting on the right hand of God, chatting to Him.
And waiting. Be prepared to wait. That it's. If you're asking for guidance or whatever, then be prepared to wait. Be prepared to be shown.
Yes, definitely.
Be prepared to listen. Don't treat it like as I've said before, like as the window where you order your takeaway food. So, don't expect to place your order, then drive 10 meters down the road and pick up the results. So,
yeah. Although I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Okay. The bad thing is expecting to get an answer. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue here. I mean, if you just take yourself as an example of your work and putting leave in, and that was the universe. That's your connection with God. Okay, those things just came to work. Okay, and you've mentioned many things in the past that are the same. You say that's a coincidence, and Well, why not call that coincidence God? Okay. Hey, that's God at work. Okay. Yeah. Sue and I call it the universe. Okay.
Yeah.
She's more comfortable with that word. Yeah. So we say, there's the universe at work again. Okay.
Seems to be a term for this age, doesn't it? You know, the universe.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are are sort of shy of the word God.
Yeah, I guess it's been misused and abused.
Yeah, and it's associated with a whole lot of different religions as well.
Organized religions, and
Organized religions, yeah. And
who for a long time preached, you know, that God is a vengeful God and one that should be feared, and blah blah blah. You know, so.
Yeah. So you know, with the religions coming to an end now, there has to be something to replace it. So I think the universe, as you say, this day and age, is an appropriate word, because now you say, well, instead of saying how do I define God, you say how do I define the universe? And yeah, you can go.
You can't.
Yeah, well, you could say, well, let's start with quantum physics, okay, and and that everything is energy. You know, we now know that. So how does it move from there?
But isn't it interesting though, because like even when you take that sort of science-based view, you always bump up against a boundary though, don't you? Like they say, oh, you know, the smallest known, you know, component is a quark or something, you know, like a string or something. But the trouble is they disappear and then they come back. Well, where are they going to? Well, we don't know. So,
I think, and I think I probably got this from Moya, and that is that science and future religion are going to be one and the same thing. One and the same thing. Okay.
Yep.
And so everything is going to be scientific. And I think I really do believe we've seen the start of that now with this new age that's dawning when we're talking about energy.
It's interesting too, though, isn't it? You know, like because we've also been talking about cycles and, you know, endings and beginnings and stuff like that. And I truly feel that you know, Mum's passing is one of those cycles, you know, because
for sure,
you know, because you know, a chunk of my life was so much entwined with, you know, with her sunset years, you know, and you know, one of those thoughts that comes up is like, well, what am I going to do now? and it was immediately followed by, well, you're going to do something worthwhile, you know. So, so yeah.
I think your mom has freed you.
Yeah, well, there's a sense of that there, and that's, you know, part of me. You know, like next week, I just want to be open to see, you know, what I'm being called to do next. You know, so you know, I have that openness and will and desire to, you know, to be shown. You know, what's the next what's next for me? What needs to be done?
Yeah, and don't be too intense about asking for the answer. Like, just let it be. Let it be, because you're making an assumption first.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah. So don't base your requests on assumptions.
Mm. And also, like, with her departure, there leaves a hole, but that hole doesn't need to be filled in.
Yeah.
In fact, it may never be filled in. Probably won't be. But there's been a lot of learning and growth and development through that time, and I feel that a lot of that learning, growth, and development is there for a reason, and I just need to make sure that I'm awake and alert enough to recognise what that is, when the time comes.
Yeah. I don't like the use of the word whole in talking about the loss of your mom. I would see it as a growth of love on you.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah, without a doubt,
Yeah,
without a doubt. Yeah.
And it will stay part of you, positively stay part of you, because love is really what she represented in the words that you read back to me today.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and that has been, uppermost in my mind over the last couple of weeks is this whole idea of love and, experiencing depths and dimensions to it that I haven't experienced before. So.
Yeah, just allow it to happen. Allow everything to unfold.
Yes. So how have you been? Have you been doing okay?
Yeah, yes, I have been working flat out with my my job. I'm a slim man, and
I'll say you connected up with that other client as such, yes, or?
no, it's the same guy that I'm working for.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah, his name's Jan.
Yeah.
So, and he's got various clients, and I
wasn't he trying to put you in touch with someone, or no?
Yeah, it was, but now all of a sudden he's got more work, and now he wants me to, take on more.
Yeah. Okay.
And, it's a really difficult client. Also sitting somewhere within driving distance of him there in Brisbane. I'm not sure where, but he's a famous property millionaire or something.
Okay.
And he's a strange character, very strange character. And yeah, so no, the other thing that has happened is that I've been contacted. I think it was before last Wednesday. Might have told you on last Wednesday. I can't recall, but I was contacted again by Get Set Up, a place to do classes for, and they asked me if I do 2 classes a month. Okay, and I had really fond memories of doing those classes. Really great interaction with groups of people in my classes and so on. So I said yes, I would do it. And I've done 2. And yesterday I got an email from the new person, because the old people all seem to have disappeared. All the shareholders and the directors and things, they just, I don't know, you don't hear of them anymore, and they're not on the emails and things like that. And anyway, the person who runs it now he was a guide like myself, probably my age as well. Anyway, he sent me an email saying, didn't say why. Okay, he said, okay, for April, will you do 6 classes?
Really?
Yes. Okay. So I assume that there was good response to the 2 classes, and so I said back to him. He said, "Sure." He said back to me, "Well, give me the titles and the description of the classes you want to do," and which was so different to historical.
Yeah, it was horrible what they put you through towards the end.
Yeah. So now I'm thinking, okay, the 2 I did in in March was space, exploring space, outer space, and 2 was artificial intelligence. Okay. And so I thought, now what else did I enjoy doing? Because part of the enjoyment is researching and putting together the class. And so then I thought, no, I enjoyed doing classes on cruise ships. Okay. Okay, cruise ships and river cruises and ocean cruises and adventure cruises and expeditions to the Antarctic and things like that. So I don't know whether they're going to accept them. I only sent them last night. Then I thought, well, I enjoyed microgreens and growing microgreens and the health of microgreens, and I still grow microgreens. So, I don't mind doing a class on that, because then I can show the real thing, not just. So that looks interesting. And I also find it intriguing, because I was very, very disappointed, as you know, because of the losing that when I think a section of Get Set Up must have gone belly up. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's hardly surprising given the way some people were conducting themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just appalling,
Yeah. So, but they're not there anymore, whoever they are. I don't know or how they are. And quite honestly, I'm not interested in asking.
Well, no, why would you?
Yeah. What am I going to gain from that? I've invited back. My first 2 classes, I think had about 15 in each class. When people didn't know I was there, so I don't know how they. Oh, some of them I sent emails to, because I had their emails. And said, I'm back again. Okay. And they exclaimed, and they joined and obviously spoke to other people. So, yeah, we'll see how.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, how it all unfolds.
Yeah, that will be good. Yeah, it all helps, doesn't it?
Yep.
It all helps.
Yeah, and you let it flow, hey? Just let it flow, and we see what happens.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Well, that might be a good place to leave it today.
Yeah. Thanks for the conversation. Great.
Yeah, no, it's good. No, it's good. It helps me a lot too. Helps me a lot.
Okay. Do we want to think about anything for next Wednesday? Or do we want to leave it to the gods?
A bit of both. I mean, I wouldn't mind delving into the prayer thing maybe a little deeper again.
Perhaps. Yeah. Okay. Let's do the prayer thing. Yeah.
Yep. That'd be good. Yep.
Okay.
Very good. Well, lovely talking to you.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah.
Keep well now, eh?
I will, and you too.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, then. See you now.